Today I'm going to show you how to create an amazing postcard for any small business, or maybe you just want to watch a postcard go from a regular old postcard ad to something incredible. I think you're going to get a ton out of this no matter what kind of business you're in. Today we have Wenger's Firewood in Wisconsin that sent me their ad. Anthony Wenger in Cumberland, Wisconsin, sent me his postcard ad and said, Jake, please critique this on your YouTube. And I just decided not just critique it, but overhaul it. I thought this was a good example because it's a pretty decent looking postcard to begin with. It's probably something that you would have a designer put together for maybe $50 to $150. So I think this would be a great example to show you how I would turn this into something that is just stellar. And I'm going to do it using Canva, which is the software that designers hate, but is incredible. Like, Canva is amazing. I'm going to do it in this tool that anyone can use. If you don't know, my name is Jake Lorraine, and I own printingforsupercheap.com and highresponsemarketing.com. I've been doing EDDM and targeted postcards for small local businesses for 15 years now. I've done thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of them across all different niches and industries. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I wish I had some kind of resource like this when I was just starting. Here we're looking at this postcard. This is from Wenger's Firewood, Anthony Wenger in Cumberland, Wisconsin. First thoughts here is that this postcard looks pretty good. The color is cohesive. I can tell it's about camping, something about camping, and he's got firewood. I'm not totally sure what the firewood that won't let you down is. Overall, it's not a sloppy design. If I was to give this a grade, I'd probably give it a C or a D. It'd probably get a D, but I'd bump it up to a C because it looks okay. It's not too sloppy, but that's about as far as we get. So I want to turn this to an A. And these are the things I would specifically critique before we go changing anything. So you, if you're watching this, try to think too, what would you change as a postcard ad? If you were a small business owner sending this ad out, what could be changed? What could be done better? I don't totally know what this is about. Firewood that won't let you down is kind of confusing. Is this like some kind of luxury firewood? What lets you down? What does that mean? I don't totally understand what this is. Pick up yours today. And the problem here that we've already evidenced is it's hard to figure anything out. There's a lot to look at. In graphic design, we call this hierarchy. It's a very important principle. There has to be things that you want people to see first, and then second, and then third. There has to be a hierarchy that can be from text to visual. It's just like overall in the composition, something has to stand out. This is a hallmark of poor design, of amateur designers, is that they tend to not have any hierarchy. A lot of people will keep trying to make every element big. So they'll make the headline big. They'll make the logo big. You'll make this call to action big. Everything is fighting for attention. You don't know as the reader, as the recipient, what to look at first. It's really hard. And with a postcard, you only have a split second to capture someone's attention. You don't have long at all. They have to be able to instantly tell what this is for. This fails that test. It just totally bombs it. As nice as this card aesthetically kind of looks and it's put together, it totally bombs what this is about. We don't know that this is about camp firewood. Any good designer should ask, and if you're a marketer, you should be asking your client, the business owner, what target audience are we going after? Who is the target audience for this? If you're just putting together postcards and you're not thinking of the target audience, you're doing it wrong, because you have to match the message with the audience you want to reach. So he said, we target campers who don't want to cut or dry their own wood. And it targets campers, but it doesn't really hit home that it's the wood that you don't have to, there's no mention of it not needing to be split or not having to dry it. So that's an issue. So now at least we know this is about campers, firewood. I'm seeing a lot of blue and orange. Not a big fan of that. It's so contrasty in here, and I don't understand the blue. I think he was using Canva or whoever was doing this, and it was just matching colors and making it look nice. But this blue, because of this blue sky, this is way too contrasty. The blue and orange is not, it's too much. It doesn't leave you any room for an accent color. I like to put little accent colors in places where you really want something to pop out. So I would use like maybe a yellow in here, but that's not going to stand out because the orange and blue are so prominent. It's like just dominating everything. And I don't think of blue when I think of camping. Not everyone is at the water. It's not really camping. I personally think that a green is better. So I think a green instead of a blue would look way better. We're going to go down to the next one here. I just took this, it's still blue, but this banner, and I just brought it down. I made it a full space up here because we didn't need this bright blue sky up here on this picture from before. That wasn't necessary. So just bringing this down is going to help attention go to the headline. You really want that headline, and you have to have a headline. If you're designing a postcard without a headline, you put a headline. The headline is super important. Someone should be able to look at your postcard and instantly tell what this is for. A headline will do that. So we want that headline to really get attention. But this pan is taking so much attention now. It's hard to get someone's eyes up to that headline because the pan is just taking so much. You still have this logo being so big. Everything is fighting for attention. We got to bring that down. So I took this green to soften up this color scheme and make it more camp feeling, which I think does a good job here. I just made this banner here green. You can change that in Canva just by picking different colors here. I just made it a green. I think that starts to look better. And now we can start to see things a little more clearer. I also shrunk the Wenger's Firewood logo down. Not that we want to take attention away from his brand, but that's not important right now. We want to just capture their attention with a headline, and then if they're interested, they'll keep looking. They'll see where it is in a moment. You don't want everything screaming at you on a postcard. You want a very clear hierarchy. This is starting to look a little more camp and not this weird blue thing. I also added a curve down here. I didn't like having two rectangular pieces at the top and bottom. I think that's just a really generic design. I don't do that myself. So I added a curve. I love angles and curves. So adding in a curve here helps give it a little more polished image. And all I did that with here was in Canva, you just take a circle element, it's under elements, and you just squeeze it around and you put it there. It's pretty simple. I shrunk the follow us on Facebook. I don't think that's really necessary, but we'll change that in a little bit. But I shrunk it just so we have a little better hierarchy. I really want people to see that headline. That headline's really important, and I think it's still fighting with attention from the pan, but it's getting there. I made the headline much bigger. Making that thing huge will help draw attention to the headline so people know it's for campfire wood. So I put campfire wood for sale. Now it's starting to take more dominance on the image, which means the eyes are going to be drawn right to it, which is what you want. I made this yellow just to see if we can draw even more attention, and I like that. I think this is starting to look really more fiery instead of this blue, watery, subdued thing. And I'm just trying to draw attention to that headline. People have a split second to make a decision. You want them looking at this card exactly where you want them looking at. In order to kind of blend things together better, I put a stroke. This is called a stroke. It's like an outline on the headline in a thicker, chunkier green, because that green is important with camping. And now this is starting to look really readable. You see how that just brings that headline right out. I also moved the fire picture up. If you look here, the water is the primary part of this, and the fire's kind of at the bottom. I just moved it up. You just click it and you move it up. In this case, he had room to move up. So we had more fire and less water. Looking pretty good at this point. I don't like these straight rectangles. I still use them, but I like angles. I love angles and I love curves. So I just took two rectangle shapes. These are just two rectangle shapes in Canva, and just rotated them. That's all that is just rotating them and put them together to make this shape. I use this a lot for headlines. Sometimes you can even put them off center, like over here where they're off, just to give it some interest. But here we're just doing center. And I'm going to put the headline on here. This just helps bring things up more too. I think I also moved the pan up a little bit. It was down further, and now I moved it up to try to just show more of that fire and push the eye more closely to the headline. The subhead, which is really important too. I think most postcards should have a subhead, which is just a smaller headline. It's a little more information. It goes under the headline, but not as big as the headline. You have to have that hierarchy. I like that won't let you down. I think that's a good subhead. Not a great headline, but a good subhead. Good enough. So I put that here with a little bit of a stroke on it too. The problem that we run into here is that this isn't very readable. It starts looking cluttered. It's kind of hard to read that won't let you down. It's not impossible to read it, but it's kind of hard, and that's a problem. Readability has to be really good. A good design is very readable, easy to read. So what I did, and what I suggest you do a lot in your designs, is add layers and depth by adding shadows. Here I just added 2 shadow elements. These are gradient overlays from elements they're these things right here in Canva, and you just pop them in here underneath the shapes. And now you have this depth that instantly makes that subhead readable. Okay, it looks great, but it also makes it very readable. See that difference right there? These are top pro differences in a postcard design, where we're thinking about function and making it readable and easy to read, drawing a lot of attention to this top area. I think that looks great. I scoured his socials because he had a Facebook, so I looked that up. Any good designer or marketer should be looking up their socials, and digging for things, maybe pictures or features or advantages or benefits and things that the company can offer or advantages that it has, and looking for that kind of content to help build a really good postcard that's compelling. What are their advantages, the features, the benefits? Maybe they're open 7 days a week. Maybe they're open on holidays. Maybe they're open late. Maybe they have delivery services. Maybe they're in a great location. Maybe they have quick turnaround, licensed staff. You look for all those things to put on the postcard as best you can. Here you get a really nice picture of all this wood. So I just threw it at the bottom right just for something. I really like that. And in Photoshop, you could use content aware fill, or this cutoff where the wood is cut off, and you could probably extend it all the way across. But I didn't have time to do that. But I just wanted to get it in there as an element from his website that would be a great image. And if he didn't have any images, that would be one I would pick. You also have stock images that you can pick. I put this call to action here. The call to action should be in the bottom right. Almost always bottom right, or sometimes bottom left. You want it somewhere where the eye's going to end up last, because you want to hook them in the beginning. They start reading more because they're intrigued and they're interested, and then they take them to the what to do next, the call to action. So that doesn't need to be prominent. A lot of people will put on their postcards, they'll put these huge calls to action, call now, and they'll make that the major focus point. No one wants to see the call now thing. They will find that information. You still need to make it readable, but they will find that. That's down the hierarchy. You want to use that first attention to get them on a headline, an image, not the call to action. The call to action will come later. So that goes in the bottom right. I like the Z pattern. On the camera, it might be showing this way. I like where it's a Z, where you're in at least in what is a Western world, we read from left to right. So we see things from the top left, and we kind of go to the bottom right at the end. So I like to follow that pattern. I put that call to action above the wood pile here. I think that's looking pretty good. I added some features, advantages, benefits here right in the middle. They don't have to be big because we're thinking of hierarchy. We're not making everything try to scream at you. Ready to burn, no drying needed. That's a huge advantage. That's a big benefit. It's ready to burn, no drying needed. 100% oak, clean, grab and go, or delivery. I found all that by looking through his socials. That wasn't on any of this ad, but someone who's interested in this, that's the kind of stuff that's going to sell them on it. They're going camping. They don't want to deal with burn. Oh, that's right. Wow, we're going camping. What am I going to do about firewood? I can't just use the wet firewood from the trees or whatever. This stuff's ready to burn, no drying. And then it's clean. Because you can make it a point about like gas station logs and stuff, and they have the additives and the chemicals, and you don't want to be doing your s'mores over the chemicals. That's all stuff that you can use to convince people to go with you. I had to find that stuff on his website because it wasn't on his original ad. Here I've started to put his contact information and address and stuff down at the bottom. I put the Facebook in there. We'll line that up a little bit better. This here, I put a Google. I do these a lot. These are just rounded rectangle boxes, the same as this maroon one here with a stroke applied on it. And I put the G sign. That's also for Google reviews. That's also an element in Canva. All this stuff is just in Canva. I put a transparency on it too, so it wasn't super dark, because I thought when you make it dark here, it's taking too much attention onto that, and I didn't want a lot of attention on that. But that gives it credibility. If you had room, you could put a review. You could put a customer's review, 5 stars. I didn't like that because it started taking too much attention away. but normally you would put that. It would probably be something on the other side to do. And I moved it over just so it hid the wood pile. And now we've got layers. This ad is done. This ad is good to go. Huge headline, nice readable subhead. Everything is super readable. The images are there, but they're not taking all the attention away, which was hard because of that egg sitting there. Now the attention's on the headline. Your eyes go down. It's got the call to action of check prices here. That's a way better call to action than what was the original? Follow us on Facebook or pick up yours today. Get them to just check the prices. I saw that there were prices on the social, so just get them to scan the thing and check the prices. You've got the features, advantages, benefits on here. I use the grid system. I don't like to talk about that too much because it gets into designer techie talk, but I do use a grid system just to make sure that things are all lined up, easy to read, in a visual hierarchy, and takes you through, okay, campfire wood, won't let you down. Pick great pictures, people having a great time. I see wangers. Oh, I recognize that. No drying needed, ready to burn. Oh, this sounds great. Grab and go. They got delivery. I got Google. They're on Google, and check our prices here. Let's go check these prices. That is a top pro, great postcard ad. Just that is as good as it gets, in my opinion. And I've done thousands of these. This is worlds better than the first one, which is why you might have saw I printed these as a comparison. A lot of people would just see that and say, oh, that's a nice looking ad. Oh, that looks really good. But once you go through and see the whys of we change different things, you'll realize how much better this is. And all I want to do is really just give you the tools and the knowledge so you can make your own great ads for you or your clients. This is instantly readable. If this is on I think this is a 9x12 ad. Actually, I don't think this is a regular postcard ad. I think solo postcard. I think it's a 9x12. This will stand out like crazy. I mean, this will draw the eye right to this ad. This is how your postcards should look. Big headlines, big subhead, clear visual hierarchy, lots of information, but readable. Totally readable. The things that matter are prominent. The things that don't matter so much right away are smaller, and a good call to action over on the right. So I hope you like that. That is a example of a top pro postcard overhaul. What was just going to be a critique, I'd like to mention the other side of the postcard. Postcards should always have two sides. And you want the side that's most visual and engaging and hooking to be the side with the address on it. So all postcards have they'll say local postal customer, or they'll say address. See, I'm just trying to find one real quick. Does this have one? Yeah, like this. Let's say here, this is an EDDM in indicia. By the way, if you're ever doing these, please reach out. If you're a small business owner, you should be reaching out to me. I have the best deals possible on every door direct mail and targeted postcards. The best you can find on printing for super cheap. My information is down below. You can text me, you can call me, or one of my minions are happy to help you anytime. You want to make sure that this is compliant. You want to make sure this is totally compliant, won't get rejected at the post office. This side is the most important side because that's what people are going to see first. You want people seeing the most visual side first. Then you have this other side, right? You have the other side. And I was just thinking of some things that could go on a postcard like this. And you could put more features, more advantages, more benefits. And think of the camping experience. I was thinking it can be very stressful with campfires. Have you ever put together a campfire? If you have, it's kicking at crazy. Getting the thing to burn, to catch fire. If you don't have the right wood, or you're buying that gas station wood, you could scare the pants out of people. You could also use things like urgency and scarcity, and say, before the season's up, we have excess stock, or before we run out. There's so many things you could use to just compel people to take the next action. And a lot of times you're trying to sell to the wife too. You may think that you're selling to a husband, but the wife might be getting the mail. A lot of times the wife gets the mail, or she makes the actual buying decisions. So that's important with like kitchens, bathrooms, a lot of home services. The wife is aggravated over certain things. You need to trigger her to do something, or to get her husband to do something. That's a common thing that you should be aware of when you're making postcards. In this case, with the campfires, you might be talking about the stressful experience of starting a campfire. And I thought it would be a really good idea for something like this if you had how to build a stress-free campfire and an arrow with a QR code that goes to a video that Wenger's puts on in YouTube or on a Facebook post. And now they have 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of how to build a simple campfire using their wood, and it shows you loading up and getting the wood, and then they see the guy and they see it's local, and this is how you make a perfect campfire. No more stressful time with this whole camp thing, and you're trying to find the right wood, and the fire is smoking all over the place, and he's dumping lighter fluid all over the thing. Everyone's getting frustrated. So it'd be a perfect thing to put. You could even put that, actually, I would probably put a little QR code, how to build the perfect campfire or a stress-free campfire, in the bottom left of where this campfire is right here in this picture. I would put a little QR code with an arrow and lead them right to their video, a video that you shoot on your iPhone of how to build a stress-free campfire using Wenger's firewood. I think that would be a perfect ad. So if you're a small business owner and you have a postcard that you'd like me to critique on YouTube, I can't promise you I'd overhaul it because this takes a lot of energy and time, but I'm more than happy to critique it, or just send it over to me and just say, Jake, is this compliant for mailing? Me or one of my minions is always standing by 24/7. My contact information is below. Printingforsupercheap.com. I want to see you make a little ATM machine out of your postcards too.